everyone. Welcome to our fairy tea party. It's a little different this year because obviously you're not all here together, but we're going to do the best that we can to have fun and make this a fun fairy tea party, even though we're not physically all together. So, I hope that all of you received a package that had some important fairy pieces. So we have a crown. So you were given stickers as well so that you could decorate your crown. And everyone else also got a wand. And since I love hearts, and pink and purple and green are some of my favorite colors, I decorated my wand with hearts and a little bit of green. So I hope you've decorated your heart. And if you hadn't, take some time and decorate your heart. And then you can use it when you want to play fairy. So I have a couple special fairy stories that I'd like to read to you today. The first one is called Princess Fairy Ballerina. It's by Bethany Dini Murgia. So let's get started. And also a shout out to Arthur Levine for letting us read this story today at our fairy tea party. Greetings, hugs, hello. What should we play? I'm ready for magic. Let's put on a grand show. I know what we'll do. We shall play princess, because princesses are royal. And that means they get to survey their royal domains and make the royal rules. Dragons shall not breathe fire, only clouds. All flowers shall be blue. The royal moat shall have 3 water slides. All parades shall include unicorns, and the royal ice cream parlor shop will have what flavor ice cream? What flavor ice cream do you think it should have? I'm voting for chocolate. And of course, ride the royal unicorn. You always want to play princess. Please call me your majesty. Shh. I have 2 words for you. Fairy dust. Because fairy dust means magic spells and talking frogs. May I have this dance? And flying over rainbows? Frogs are not royal, but real princesses kiss frogs. We should play ballerina. Ballerinas can be beautiful snowflakes or fierce mice. Sometimes they're graceful swans, soaring high above the stage as the audience cheers. Swans are not royal. Well then, your majesty, how should we decide what to play? What about a contest? It could be a flying contest or a throne-sitting contest. How about a balancing contest, parade leading, toe pointing, magic making, twirling, crown weaving, tea, and crumpeting? Crumpeting? That's not even a word. It is in my kingdom. Listen, we should play Princess Fairy Ballerina. Ribbit. You know, these wings are getting heavy. So is my royal tiara. Tutus are scratchy. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Puddles? Stomping? Who needs dust to fly? Our best performance yet. I declare this day a royal success. The end. Do you guys like to play outside sometimes when it's raining? Kind of splash around in some puddles? I do. I remember when I was little, sometimes I used to go and actually go in the swing set. I used to love to go and swing on my swing set when it was raining. As long as it wasn't thunder and lightning, my mother would let us play out in the rain. So I have one more story, and then I want to tell you about we have a special visitor this year at our fairy tea party. But hold on, I'm not telling you yet. The Very Fairy Princess by Julie Andrews and Emma Walton Hamilton. And a shout out to Little Brown and Company for letting us read this story. Hi, I'm Geraldine. I'm a fairy princess. You may not believe me, but I can tell you that I am. I know that I'm a fairy princess because I feel it inside, a sparkly feeling of just knowing in my heart. Also, I do everything that a fairy princess would do. First thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I put on my crown. Fairy princesses are always presentable. You never know who you might bump into, even on the stairs. For breakfast, I have fairy pancakes with extra fairy dust on the top. Yum! Fairy princesses have very refined taste. Now it's time to choose my royal attire for the day. The big decision is which dress to wear. Pink and white, pink and purple, pink and red, or just pink? My brother Stuart says princesses don't always wear sneakers, they don't have scabby knees, and I say sneakers help me practice my flying skills, especially when we're late for the school bus. And scabs are the price you pay. Fairy princesses are very practical. My best friend Delilah doesn't believe that I'm a fairy princess. I say you can be whatever you want to be. You just have to let your sparkle out. For instance, I tell her, you sparkle when you play the trombone. Fairy princesses are very supportive. Flying is not allowed in class, so at school I hang my wings up in my cubby. Besides, they'd get squished in morning meeting. My teacher, Miss Pym, says fairy princesses don't fidget or interrupt. But how else can you be on the lookout for problems to solve? Sometimes you have to speak up, like when our class pet, Houdini the hamster, escapes. Fairy princesses know how to take charge. My favorite classes are art and music, and that's when I can really let my sparkle out. I use lots of glitter, sequins, and feathers when I paint, and sometimes there's just not enough space in the wall for all my pictures. Fairy princesses like to keep extra gifts on hand for special occasions, like when Grandma comes to visit. All fairy princesses love to sing, and once in a while I get carried away, and Mrs. Higginbothams reminds me there's only room for one conductor in the class. The absolute best time of the week is when I have ballet after school. I wear my fluffy tutu, and I twirl, and I whirl, and I leap light as a feather. Occasionally my crown gets in the way, but I'm working on that. Fairy princesses know that practice makes perfect. Mom calls me in for my bath. She says fairy princesses don't have dirty fingernails. I say it's the price you pay for having so many responsibilities. I have to remove my crown to shampoo my hair, but I make out of the bubbles just to tide me over. Fairy princesses are very, very creative. Stuart says fairy princesses shouldn't watch TV before they've done their homework, and I say a fairy princess needs a break to keep her sparkle from sagging. Besides, how else can you keep up with the fairy news of the day? Daddy knows I'm a fairy princess. When he comes home from work, he always says, "How's my little princess today?" So that's all right. Being a fairy princess can be very demanding. Sometimes it's all I can do to stay awake through dinner. Fairy princesses need lots of beauty sleep to recharge their sparkle. So Daddy carries me up to bed. Mama tucks me in. "Sweet dreams, Jerry," they whisper from the door. "You'll always be our very fairy princess." The end. Thank you so much for listening to the stories today. So now, the next part of our fairy tea party, we have a very special guest. She's been with us once before on She was with us when we were doing Terry Tales, and she came over in her yellow submarine. That's right. Her Majesty the Queen is here at our fairy tea party. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Her Majesty the Queen, and she's going to be doing a cooking segment for us. So anyway, get ready. Here she comes. Good afternoon, children. I am so very excited to be invited to the annual Very Fairy Tea Party. As you know, I was here earlier for Terry Tales, and Miss Terry thought it might be lovely if I would come back in my yellow submarine and attend this very fairy tea party. As you know, us British folks are quite enamoured with tea parties, so I was most enthusiastic about being invited. So, anyway, one moment. I thought it would be lovely if I gave you some tips on things that you could have while you're at home and you could serve at your tea party. So, in my purse here, I have brought different things that I'm going to get out, and I will show you how you can have a beautiful fairy tea party at your own home. All right? So I must change into my cooking ensemble. I will be right back. Thank you. Welcome back, dear children. We are now ready to begin the food section of our program, led by Her Majesty the Queen. So the first thing you would want to do to prepare for a very fairy tea party food preparation, you would want to adorn your chef's hat. Yours may look a little different than mine because, again, I'm the Queen, so I've got the crown. I believe you will just have the chef's hat in your packet. So please do that. If you have any cooking gloves, these are cooking gloves, as you can see, because they let my fingers prepare food without the finger part, but you may or may not have those, but if you don't worry. So I'd like to start with a sandwich. Now, you need bread. White bread's ideal. But one thing that is very important is you cut off the crust. You don't want the crust on your fancy tea party sandwich. So I have already done so. So as you'll see, 2 pieces of bread without a crust. I am now going to add some delicious royal jelly onto the bread, delicately. And then I'm going to add a banana. I think you in America call them bananas, but we call them bananas. So I'm going to add a banana to my sandwich. I am then going to take the other half, place it on the top, and there you have it, a lovely, delightful sandwich to eat at the very fairy tea party. So let's put that aside. Now, these little round things are called, that's right, Addie, blueberries. Blueberries. I love blueberries, and they're very good for you as well. So, these things here are called cucumbers, and I made them look a little fancy, as you can see, by taking a fork and scoring the sides of the cucumber before I sliced it. So another tip for having a very fairy tea party, if you want to make it look fancy, you can do that to your cucumber. Another option is to take bread, put a cucumber in the middle, put it together, and you can have a lovely cucumber sandwich. So that's an alternative if you're not too big into jams or jellies. However, what I did, which I think is very fancy, I love to be creative. So I took a piece of celery. I don't know if you can see this little guy's face. I'm afraid if I tip him over, I'll try. But see 2 blueberry eyes, a blueberry nose, and kind of a funny little smile that I made with a cherry stem. And then in the groove in the cucumber's back, I thought it might be fun if we were to put some blueberries. And why not add a banana, as you guys say it? Put a banana in the back. And you have made yourself a delightful, healthy snack to eat at the fairy tea party. Delightful. So I'm going to put that there. So again, I hope these tips, don't forget tea is very important at your tea party. And you can substitute fruity juices, water, whatever you folks, milk, chocolate milk, whatever you folks like to drink, that's perfectly fine. I myself am a tea drinker. You guys, it might be a little too young to be drinking tea, which is absolutely fine. So anyway, I hope I have given you some tips for a successful fairy tea party. And I'm hoping that next year we'll be much more back on track and we'll be able to do this in person. And Miss Terry has assured me that I will be invited to your fairy tea party. I'm getting very, very fond of the children of Kennebunkport. So, ta-ta for now.